The surge in cases of COVID-19, also known as coronavirus, continues to impact the daily lives of people in the United States and abroad, including citizens and employees of the Chickasaw Nation. It is imperative that we all take part in mitigating the spread of COVID-19. Social distancing and thorough hand washing are vital in this effort. Wash your hands often, for at least 20 seconds using soap and warm water. If you are sick, stay home and away from as many people as possible. Social distancing, avoiding crowds and going out only when essential for things like groceries and medications will further help pandemic efforts and protect those who are most vulnerable to the virus. Welcome to CNTV. I'm Brad Clonch, along with Quin Tran.
We continue our social distancing efforts here on CNTV and dedicate this episode to more COVID-19 related information and resources. We take you first to the Chickasaw Nation Medical Center in Ada, Oklahoma. A COVID-19 testing site is set up. It's a temporary tent center located in the parking lot, designed for drive-through screening. People are asked to remain in their vehicles for the swab test. Medical staff wearing protective clothing and gear collect the swab samples. Drive-through test centers help reduce the spread of the virus and risk for infection. The test centers are also set up at Chickasaw Nation health clinics in Ardmore and Purcell.
Meanwhile, this message, Heroes Work Here, greets healthcare staff and employees at the Chickasaw Nation Medical Center. It's a thank you to them for taking care of patients. At this time, visitors are not allowed in the clinics, hospital setting, or emergency department to ensure the safety of patients and staff. Exceptions include consideration for childbirth, end-of-life care, and other unique circumstances.
Hi, how are you? I'd like to make an appointment with the virtual visit. How do you do it?
People are encouraged to use telehealth right now. Healthcare professionals evaluate patients through virtual visits based on symptoms, medical history, and other factors. The Chickasaw Nation Department of Health's virtual visits are available 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Seek care immediately if you have severe symptoms, such as difficulty breathing.
Everyone is urged to stay home to slow the spread of COVID-19.
If you do need to get out, the CDC advises using a cloth face covering to limit exposure. Here's how to make one. No sewing required. You just need a piece of cloth and 2 rubber bands or hair ties. First, lay the cloth down on a flat surface, smooth it out, and fold it in half like this. Now flip the cloth to the other side and fold it in half again like you see it done here. The top half down the midline and the bottom half up the midline. Flip it back to the other side. We're using hair ties. Take 1 hair tie and run the cloth through, securing it in place. Do the same on the opposite end. Loop and position in the hair tie like this. The next step is to fold the ends. Fold both sides towards the middle. Layer one side over the other. It's now ready to wear. Just loop the ties over your ears. Adjust to make sure the mask covers your nose and mouth. Please avoid using N95 or surgical masks. Those are critical supplies reserved for healthcare workers and other medical first responders.
We are all doing our part to protect our families during this pandemic. Schools in Oklahoma and most businesses are shut down. Chickasaw Nation venues are closed. Tribal activities and events are canceled, like this one. This is footage from the Artesian Arts Festival last May. The event drawing thousands of people to the Sulphur community has been canceled for next month. Visit Chickasaw.net for a list of Chickasaw Nation closings, cancellations, and postponements.
With every district in the state closed for the rest of the school year, Oklahoma children are learning on their own with parents and other family members. The Chickasaw Nation is offering online resources that feature Chickasaw history, language, and activities for all ages. Go to Chickasaw.net/at-home to explore all of the interesting lessons for both elementary and secondary students. The curriculum is aligned with Oklahoma academic standards outlined by the Oklahoma State Department of Education. Another great resource is ChickasawKids.com, an interactive children's site featuring history, culture, games, and more. Educators say this is also an opportunity for parents to take time to spend with their children, create a positive family environment.
The root of things. What was your childhood growing up? Do you even understand what nurturing means? Can you give me a nurturing memory? Do you have appropriate expectations for yourself and for your kids? So we really start building about the environment and looking at that. And a lot of times parents have to start looking, they have to reparent themselves, and they go, well, maybe I don't spank my kids, but I yell at them all the time. And wonder, and that makes sense of why my kid now yells at me and being disrespectful. So even just looking at those and taking those components apart and looking at that it starts at the really base of things.
We want to share with you a parenting resource. The Chickasaw Nation's Hofanti Chokma To Grow Well program is offering online parenting sessions and workshops. The program offers tips and guidance to help parents and caregivers. There are 20-minute daily sessions, and this month and in May, 3-hour workshops are available via live stream. For more information and to register for the free workshops, send a message to the email address on your screen. You'll receive a calendar invite with a link to live stream the free workshops.
We hope that the information and resources shared in this episode will help you and your family.
We leave you with a book reading from Chickasha Stories, written and illustrated by Chickasaw's Glenda Galvin and Jeannie Barber.
In the beginning, everything was covered with water. The only things living were a few small animals that floated along in a raft made of hardwood. Nothing else could be seen above the surface of the water. One day, the animals floating in the raft decided they wanted to look at something, anything besides water. Not knowing what to do or what to create, they called on anyone who might have ideas. Crayfish volunteered, and he dove off the raft. The water was so deep, he was unable to reach the bottom of the great ocean. Crayfish came back up to the animals in the raft and said he thought it would be a good idea if they could make land appear. The others agreed this would be a good idea and began to plan how to find land and decide who could help Crayfish. Buzzard was the only one who offered to help Crayfish. 4 days later, Crayfish again dove deep into the large ocean of water, trying to reach the bottom, but again he failed. He kept trying every day, and on the 4th day he finally reached the bottom. Using his tail to scoop up the mud, he began building a great mud chimney. He worked very quickly, building it higher and higher until the top of the mud chimney stuck above the surface of the great ocean water. Soon the mud began to spread out over much of the surface until it finally began forming a mass of soft earth. As the animals began to look in all 4 directions, they saw the newly formed earth and agreed Crayfish had done a good job. As the animals began to look in all 4 directions, they saw the newly formed earth and agreed Crayfish had done a good job. As they began to explore the new land, it was thought the surface was too flat. They were used to waves splashing against the raft. Small waves and larger waves, sometimes rolling waves, tossed them into the air. So since Buzzard had volunteered early into the project, it was Buzzard who helped shape the Earth's surface. Now Buzzard is a very large bird with long, powerful wings. He flew along just above the top of the soft earth, flapping with each swoop downwards. His wings cut into the soft soil and formed valleys and mountains. Later, it's from the same mud chimney that the Chickasaw and Choctaw people were allowed to come and live upon this new surface along with the animals. And even to this day, we share the same earth.